Reinstein from Plantation, Commissioner Mark Douglas from Sunrise, Commissioner Maury Wright from Tamarack. Have I missed anybody? All right, and I also want to welcome Phil Dunlap from the Broward County Cultural Division, Madam President of the Broward Bar Association, Allison Smith, Representative for Barbara Sharif, I don't remember your name. Thank you so much for coming. There are a lot of distinguished people in this room this evening, and it is by design. Mayor Marlon Hill as well. Mayor of the Caribbean community. I won't call everybody by name in this room, we all know each other, but we are here this evening because we consider you friends and partners and stakeholders in what Island Space Caribbean Museum is doing, what our mission is, and what we want to accomplish in the next several years. And I'm gonna start by saying that I have been watching, I'll be a little political, I have been watching various news stories in recent days and weeks. And it seems to me that there are people in positions of power who are making efforts to erase or rewrite history. One of our board members, Larry Mullings, who I don't see here yet, just visited Greece and did a tour with his family of those kind of Middle Eastern places. And he mentioned that he would visit little villages and towns, and they had a museum. A little town had a museum about that town. And he said for us in the Caribbean, we're not of that culture. We do not visit museums, we don't pay attention to history. And we learn about King somebody in Europe and Queen somebody in Europe, and we learn American history and we learn everybody else's history. We may learn about a hero here and there, but the kind of information that educates us in a way that we either want to repeat or don't want to repeat, we're not getting that. And that's why this place is so important. In 2017, I want to actually start with a history of Island Space and how we got here. So if you've been looking at the screen here, you're actually seeing our progression from 2019, when Island Space was a little pop-up at History Fort Lauderdale. In 2017, David and I hosted an event called the Taste the Islands Experience at History Fort Lauderdale. We were invited by the host to set up a pop-up museum in one of their rooms at the New River Inn. The following year, we did it again as part of an exhibit called the Island Imprint. With the aid of funds from the Community Foundation of Broward, we were able to take that culinary museum that we created, and we brought it to Lauderhill, and we brought it to Tamarack, and we brought it to the African American Research Library, and we brought it to downtown Broward. And during that time, we incorporated a nonprofit called Island Society for the Promotion of Artistic and Cultural Education that became Island Space. During that time came COVID, and we couldn't do the pop-up museums anymore, and we got permission from the Community Foundation of Broward to create a more long-term pop-up. We reached out to our friends at the Broward Mall, and they allowed us to use the space that was the Red Robin. And so many of you have been to that space before we moved here. Over that time, we accomplished a whole lot. We found ourselves supporters like FPL and Grace Foods. We got coverage in NPR and NBC and the Jamaica Gleaner and the Sun Sentinel. We showcased artists like Philippe Dodard and Paul Campbell. We started our programming series that has now become something spectacular. If you've been to any of our programs recently, you've seen the work that we've been doing in the community. We presented elevated art shows and cultural events. We even hosted groundbreaking exhibits and activities, such as the Queer Caribbean series. We were having a little discussion about that earlier because in the Caribbean, there's a taboo around the queer community, and because Island Space opens our arms to everyone and is welcoming to everyone, we did get some blowback for that, but we wanted to make the statement that we are welcoming to everyone in every community. At the end of 2022, we were required to relocate from the space where we were to the space where we are now. We weren't prepared for it, but we made the best of the situation. And in our new location, we have strengthened our diverse relationships and partnerships with the tourism boards, with the consulates, with community partners. We have hosted heads of state and political leaders. Maury Wright brought the premier of the British Virgin Islands here. In our last space, the first time the consular corps that was in place at the time had met in person was at our physical location. We have hosted stellar art shows. You can see the work of Preston Hanna from the Bahamas behind us here. We have hosted artists and performers and events and programs. Our board members and staff, although not all at once, have included representatives from the English, French, Dutch, and Spanish-speaking Caribbean. Our attendance over last year, all of 2022, was around 3,000 people. We're almost at 3,000 people having come through here just in the 4 or 5 months since we've opened here. In an environment where African diaspora history is being diminished and or whitewashed at government and educational levels, our goals include preserving and promoting Caribbean history. We preserve and promote culture, art, artists, traditions to the diaspora, to our younger generations, to friends of our community. We maintain a space that celebrates our shared Caribbean experiences because unity is strength. We encourage partnerships among Caribbean stakeholders of diverse heritage because unity is strength. We infuse funding, life, and hope into artists and creative communities that reflect the audience we serve. We say in our promotional video, if you've seen it, with audio, that Island Space is important because representation is important. Our main goal is to continue to represent the more than 1 in 4 South Floridians who was born in the Caribbean and the millions of others who are descended from and who love and respect those people. As we move forward, we plan to continue our exceptional fine art shows, maintain our annual presentations, including the Anansi Children's Reading Festival and our women's programming, and develop new signature events, such as our Reggae Genealogy program, planned for next February, Reggae Month. We'll continue to develop regular cultural exhibits like the previous Caribbean Shiros exhibit and the upcoming carnivals, festivals, and fetes that will be installed next month. And we'll begin programming quarterly performance showcases featuring local musicians, spoken word artists, dancers, singers, and other performers. We'll also continue to be the home for partner organizations that want to host events in a classic but still Caribbean setting. We maintain 5-star reviews on content and service, and when we share surveys, feedback suggests that our audience desperately wants more of the rich content that we deliver. I've given you all of our great accomplishments, and I want to wind down now with our asks, because we do a lot of great work, but we also need a lot of great support. Our sustainability mix thus far has included a mix of grants from the state, from the county, from foundations. We write grants at national level. We get corporate support and tourism support. And we're working with Broward County Public Schools right now to start scheduling field trips in the upcoming school year. Our membership programs are improving, but it takes a village to maintain the work that we do, and it will take a small army to move us to the next level. So in the next 5 years, we plan to have 4 things I'm going to mention. A larger facility with the capacity to host a greater variety of events, and serve our community in more diverse ways. The number one complaint we get, we don't have enough teens from not Jamaica. So we want to be more representative. We want a full staff contingent, and we want to establish ourselves as the central resource for connection to South Florida's diverse Caribbean community through arts, culture, and history. Going forward, we want to ask for the support of those in this room in multiple ways. First, and very importantly, financially, we would like to establish a first 50 group. A group of donors who commit to a museum donation of preferably $5,000 a year for the next 5 years. If you cannot do 5,000, if you can do 2,500, we'll appreciate it. If you can do 1,000, we'll appreciate it. But we're asking for 5,000. I like how you're smiling, Chester. I'll wait for the check, thank you. This will help us to maintain a baseline for our operations and grant matching funds. Grants often require that funds go directly to programming without allowing facility for things like rent and human capital, staffing, etc. And so that will help us to establish that baseline. As a member of this group, you can enjoy a customized menu of benefits, including things like sponsorship branding on key events, sponsorship recognition in our printed collateral and online, and use of space on a conditional basis. If you can afford the 5,000, please consider committing it, as it is much needed. If that seems like it may be a stretch and you can do 1,000, please do. If that might be a stretch for you, do $100 a month. Whatever you can do, we appreciate. Number two, if you're more inclined to do an in-kind donation, we need those in the way of marketing services, printing services, fabrication, refreshments, other products and services. We will accept those as well and appreciate them. Number three, as our organization grows, our needs grow as well. We are in dire need of human capital, that is qualified staff to help run the organization. Right now we have one staff member. Stephanie, we appreciate you so much. Please give Stephanie a round of applause. We have a few interns on hand today as well. But if you know someone who would be a good fit for our mission, and has a good work ethic, we're looking for those people. Please send them our way. Number four, we will need a new location. We're not ready for it yet, but we are going to need a new location within the next year or two. 10,000 square feet or more preferably, in a high traffic location, with one of those nice $1 a year leases, if we can get one of those. You've heard of them, they exist, we're looking for it. I say it with a smile, but I'm very serious. And number five, our board sits in 2-year cycles, and we're going to need new prospects for board membership as well. So if you know someone who has skill sets in administration and marketing, in the legal arena, in programming, anyone who can be of a support to our organization, please help them to get onto a committee now so that in the next year and a half, we can groom them into board membership. Finally, please think of someone else who can and should help us achieve the goals, who can help us reach to that first 50 that we need, who can help us achieve our sustainability goals, our community engagement goals, and our broadest goal to be the stellar representatives of the Caribbean community in our home here in South Florida and on the world stage. I thank you. I look forward to working with you to make Island Space stand among the best museums and centers for the arts in the world.